So for a while, I wasn't really sure if I was going to watch season 2 of Young Royals, because to me, season 1 was a perfect season of television. I love where the story ended, and I didn't want to have another Find Me or everything after season 3 of Elite situation. Anyway, after watching the trailer, I got pulled in, and I'm so glad that I did. It did not disappoint. In episode 1, we open with Wille dreaming of a time when he and Simon were still together. Wille is pretty withdrawn and he refuses to speak to his mother or answer August's apology texts. He also burns August's face off a photo. August is struggling with being left out in the cold of his friendship with Wille, who still hasn't forgiven him, obviously. Sarah gets a letter telling her that she's been accepted to live in Manor House. Remember, both she and Simon lived off campus at home last season. There's a new guy as well, Marcus, whose family is somehow connected with the horse stables that Sarah works at, so he drops Sarah off at home one day and he chats with Simon. They went to preschool together, so they're not complete strangers. There's definitely a slightly more than friendly politeness going on there, and Marcus invites Simon to karaoke. This happens because Marcus walks in on Simon composing a song. Felice and Wille are still friendly and texting. She's excited that Sarah got accepted into Manor House, but her mother is more worried about the fact that Felice doesn't want to ride horses anymore. Simon and his mom especially are a little worried about Sarah, who's at an initiation party for the beginning of the school year and Manor House. Simon asks around for a ride so he can get to the party because it's looking kinda wild, and he eventually lands on Marcus, who picks him up and drops him off at the party. Wille decides that he also wants to go to the party to kind of mess with August. He gets there and he gets August to let him and his friends into the party, even though they're not really supposed to be there. When he gets inside, he sees Simon and helps him look for Sarah. It's clear that Wille wants to talk more with Simon, but Simon is kind of in a hurry, and Wille does see him leave with Marcus, who it's known is gay. Simon talks to his friends then and admits that he had a difficult time seeing Wille the night before. How will he handle seeing him at school every day? His friends suggest moving on and finding a rebound, and they suggest that maybe Marcus would be perfect. To be fair, Simon maybe has the start of a bit of a crush on Marcus, so it's more like letting that thing develop and being open to it. Alexander, the guy who got kicked out last season because of the drugs, is back at school after his parents made a charitable donation to the school. Sarah is going to have a tough time fitting in with these rich girls who can afford to buy lunch every day. Simon and Wille literally sit next to each other in class, and it's pretty tense. Wille is still hopelessly in love, but he keeps it together quite well. At the luncheon, August wants to keep the tradition of the third years getting served first, as is their privilege, but Wille openly challenges August, and this is part of his revenge, to take the things that August cares about, like his power. August has a little meltdown while talking to Sarah. Remember, he put in a good word for her to get into Manor House in exchange for her silence over the video of Simon and Wille that he had recorded and posted. Anyway, Wille found out that it was August who recorded it anyway, but Sarah swears that it wasn't her. She didn't tell anyone. August panics and says that it's just a matter of time before the royals find out what he did, and he really regrets it. She helps him calm down, but she runs off then, seemingly flustered by the closeness to him. Simon approaches Wille in the library and says that pretending that nothing happened isn't working and that they should talk. He's been thinking about Wille all Christmas, but he also felt that it was good to have some space. Wille wants to be close again, but Simon says that Wille hurt him and he can't be near him right now. Simon and his friends join Marcus for karaoke, and honestly, it's nice to see Simon have some fun without the emotional baggage that comes with being with Wille. He can be a teen and do normal things like go on a karaoke date without it making the news. Then Wille sees a video of Marcus and Simon on social media of them singing karaoke, and yeah, that's got to hurt. He calls his mom then angry, kind of lashing out. He feels that his life has been ruined because of him being royal. Wille then makes his mom put him on speakerphone where the palace comms and strategy teams are listening in. He makes it clear that he does not want to be the crown prince, he doesn't want to give a speech, and he's not going to be king. Phew, not since young Paul Atreides have we seen such a good angsty teen boy king. In episode 2, Simon is practicing his choir solo and Wille sees him but manages to walk away just as Simon looks up. It's Sarah's birthday and her girlfriends gift her a pair of designer riding pants. At first she says that she can't accept it because it's too expensive, but the girls tell her that they all chip in for all of their birthdays. It's tradition. This is worrying obviously because Sarah likely won't have the money to chip in when it's one of the other girl's birthday. These are also wealthy young teenage girls, so in their defense, it probably wouldn't even occur to them that 100 euros or whatever is a lot of money for Sarah. Simon also wishes Sarah happy birthday and gifts her a pair of riding pants and says that they will celebrate that evening with their mom. Sarah tells him that the girls already gifted her a better brand, so maybe she can sell these ones and keep the money. She also says that she's having a pajama party with the girls at the manor, and so she can't celebrate with Simon and their mom. One day in class, Wille is called out and he's asked to pack his things. He's being pulled out of school. He refuses to leave, and his bodyguard has to eventually try to physically pry him away from his desk. In the process, the glitter globe that his brother Eric gave him breaks. He talks to his mother then, and they make some compromises, but she insists that he can make the big decisions about his life when he turns 18. He can't just do what he wants now. She also wants him to see a psychologist and to make a speech at the Jubilee. For now, he gets to stay in school though, which is kind of a win for him, even though it's a bit miserable for him being there at the moment. Wille gets upset with Simon later, asking him how is it possible that even after everything that's happened today, that Simon just doesn't care and won't talk to him. Simon says then that he actually went to the principal to try and help, but she just ignored him, and now he has detention for missing class. Wille apologizes, of course he didn't know that. They talk about the situation then, that Wille will be able to make some decisions when he's 18, but until then maybe they could keep things quiet. Simon says no, he won't wait 2 years. He doesn't want to be Wille's secret, but they can still talk in school as friends. Later, Simon, who still has Wille's cardigan, smells it and puts it on. He's struggling as well, and he texts Marcus to ask if he wants to see a movie. He goes over to Marcus's place, and just as they're about to watch the movie, Simon kisses him, and things get pretty heated. Marcus tells Simon that he didn't invite him over just for that, so it's okay if they just take things slowly. Aww. Sarah goes over to August and tells him that it was Felice who discovered through the dead pixels that August took the video of Simon and Wille. She pretty much says that he could get out in front of it by coming clean publicly. That's the right thing to do. She kisses him then and tells him that she'd like to have sex with him before walking away. Wille is in a much needed therapy session, but he's still resistant and doesn't want to say anything, so he mostly sits there. Later, Felice asks him to go clay pigeon shooting, and Marcus is there supervising. His parents have some kind of ownership of the grounds, like the school rents the grounds from him or something. Wille tells her that that's the guy that Simon is dating. The guys at school tell August that they've elected a new prefect. You see, Wille had been challenging the school hierarchy for a while, and August didn't feel like it was his place to say no to Wille. The other guys want things to go back to the way they were, so they get to enjoy their privileges of being third years, just as the third years before them did. So they oust August and get another prefect, which was kind of what Wille wanted, but the new guy Vincent is not really a good leader. At one point during PE, when it seems like Simon won't finish the run, Wille helps him find a shorter trail. And at the end of the episode, August gets a message from Royal Court saying that the Queen is requesting his attendance. By the way, in the change room, Wille sees that Simon is all smiles after getting a text, and Wille checks the text, and it's from Marcus telling Simon that he looked good while running and thank you for yesterday. In episode 3, August has reached out to his stepdad, who's a lawyer, for some guidance. He tells August about the legal ramifications of spreading a sex video. It's looking bad for him if it comes out. Simon tells his friends that the issue with Marcus is that he thinks that Marcus likes him for real, and he's not sure how he feels. He says he can't understand why he can't fall in love with him. Wille tells Felice that he thinks that Marcus and Simon are dating, and it's upsetting. He knows that it should be okay that Simon is seeing other people, but he's struggling. He slowly starts to open up in therapy then as well about how he was raised to keep everything private. And his therapist asks how he feels about that pressure. Wille says that he feels lonely. Well, he also felt lonely before, but at least Eric was there. But Eric also made it look so easy having this private and public persona. Wille tells his therapist then that last semester he met a friend who stirred up some feelings in him, and in a way he wished it never happened because it was kind of better not knowing how it could feel. Oh, my heart. Wille and Simon have a group project together, and Wille asks why Simon didn't tell him about Marcus. Simon says that they're hanging out, but they're not dating. Not that that's any of Wille's business. Simon has been making great progress with his song for the Jubilee. He's written a song, remember, and I'm guessing that the actor is a singer in real life because he has a very, very good voice. August goes to Sarah and invites her over to his place. He needs someone to talk to. He tells her that he's scared that everyone will hate him after his involvement in the video thing comes out. Sarah makes her move on him then, in and they start making out. For the most part, for the physical part of things, August does let Sarah take the lead. And obviously she's not shy about doing that. Simon also tells Marcus that he's not ready for anything serious, but Marcus says that it's fine, there's no rush and they'll take things slow. So it's match day for the boys' rowing team. It's all indoors on gym rowing machines, which I guess makes sense if it's winter in Scandinavia, that they can't be out on the water. Anyway, it's not going well for the boys and the team doesn't really work well together. Their captain isn't able to get it together and they lose the match. After the match, Wille sees Marcus kiss Simon and tell him that he was incredible. They 100% look like a proper couple and even kiss in public. Okay, I'm just gonna say this is not the couple that we're all tuning in for, but you know what? I don't mind this little detour relationship. I think it's lovely that Simon gets to experience a drama-free, out in the open teen love, even though we know that ultimately his heart is with Wille and they'll find their way back at some point. Anyway, I love that Wille is the emotional, sometimes irrational one, and Simon is a little bit more practical. They complement each other so well. After the match, Vincent, being very uncaptain-like, throws the blame around and he's really upset by the team losing. August, the ex-captain, sets him straight about how it doesn't matter, it's about creating a sense of community. Simon quits the team then. Poor Wille though, he's feeling lonely and he goes through some old photos of him and Simon. The royal car comes round to the school to pick up August and I actually don't think this is about the tape. They probably just want him to look out for Wille or something. Then, in an amazing twist, the Queen tells him that while his actions can never be justified, the royal court is really worried about Wille's behavior, so much so that they need a backup plan if Wille can't handle being king. In that case, they would like August to step in. Of course, this would mean rearranging his future. He's next in line of their succession. She tells him that she'll always put Wille first, and August promises that he won't disappoint her. At the end of the episode, while he's hanging out with Felice, all sad, Wille asks her to hold him. Then it starts to turn intimate, but not before they're interrupted, so they don't get very far. In episode 4, the rumors are already spreading around the school about Felice and Wille, and of course they're exaggerated. And as the girl, Felice is getting the brunt of it more than Wille is. August sends a shirtless selfie to Sarah, and he tells her that it's her turn. He's in the running to be the crown prince soon, so this does not sound like a good idea. At lunch, the boys all want Wille to get up on the table, and they want him to share about his hookup with Felice. Wille hates this tradition, and he thinks that it's nobody's business. They should just respect his privacy, he says. Simon, obviously heard, walks out and he texts Marcus. They hang out and Simon asks Marcus to the ball that the school is having, but it's not really Marcus's thing. Simon and Wille bump into each other in the change rooms and Simon says that a heads up about Felice would have been nice. It wasn't great hearing about that over lunch. Wille tells Simon that he has double standards since he has a whole boyfriend that he didn't mention. When Wille asks if they're official, Simon shrugs and tells Wille that at least Marcus is open about liking him and invites him around his friends and accepts him for who he is. Wille says that he does it too, but it's actually Simon who can't accept Wille and his family, his position. Simon admits that, yeah, maybe he can't. Wille and Felice talk about what happened and he says that he just felt upset after seeing Simon and Marcus. Felice cuts in and she calls him selfish, since the whole school has been gossiping about her and saying that she wants in the royal family. He apologizes then and tells her that she's been a really good friend to him. In typical Wille fashion, extremely relatable but dramatic for a teenager, he says that he's sick of hoping for a reconciliation with Simon, that it hurts so much he feels he could die. He says then that he needs to let Simon go. One of the guys in Wille's friend group and on the team invites him to go skiing and stay at his parents' home. He says that they have really discreet parties and they can have fun with boys. He points out that not even Wille knew that he was gay. That's how discreet he is, but it's not really a big deal anyway. He tells Wille that Simon's expectations that he not make that statement, denying that it was him on the tape, were a bit absurd, because something like that would make world news. Wille points out that it was the lie that got to Simon. He told Simon that he wouldn't make the statement, but he did anyway, so there's a trust issue. The friend says that's why Wille needs to hang out with and date someone in his own league. People who understand his position. I mean, sure, it would be easier, but the heart wants what it wants. August has been texting Sarah a lot. I'm not sure what the age situation is there, but they're really cute together and seem to genuinely like each other and have fun. I kind of thought, oh, the royals sure do seem to take a liking to the Eriksson siblings. Anyway, August gets a call from the palace and they tell him that it's decided that he should start military education in autumn and that they're going to start planning his life for the next 10 years. He also has to provide his social media passwords so they can do an online cleanup to prevent any PR blunders. They can delete problematic material. He lies, of course, about not being on any drugs or drinking. He tells Sarah that it's a secret, but that he's Wille's backup and he could be king of Sweden if Wille isn't up to it. Then he asks Sarah if she could go to the ball with him. He doesn't care what people think. She says yes. And okay, the August redemption tour is kind of starting to work on me. Later, he sets up some candles and champagne for Sarah, but she tells him in a pretty blunt text that she's going to the ball with the girls. Everyone is getting all dressed up for the ball, including Wille, who's trying, but he's absolutely miserable. He eventually does try to have some fun with Felice though. Then Marcus, oh no, he comes over to Simon's place dressed in a suit. He wants to go with Simon to the ball after all. Oh, this is very wholesome and sweet. They have a nice time, but obviously Simon is still kind of looking over his shoulder, but for Wille. Then August ruins all of the goodwill that he's been building all season by telling Alexander that Wille was the one who suggested that Alexander take the fall for the drugs, because Wille wanted to protect Simon. I suppose this is very consistent with August's character. He tends to lash out quite a bit when he's hurt, and sometimes just in general. After a polite chat with Marcus, Wille tells Simon that he gets it now, that Simon is not in love with him anymore and he'll leave Simon alone. He also adds that Marcus is really nice. He really is a prince. Anyway, this sends Simon into a bit of a spiral and he can't really keep it together. He goes out then looking for Wille, runs after him and tells him that he's just trying to move on. Wille says that he sees that. Simon says that everything is just so messed up between them. Then they kiss. Well, Simon makes a move to kiss Wille, and it's all shy at first, but then they make out in earnest, until Marcus calls Simon back in because the choir is about to start. It seems that Marcus did see that Simon was coming from where Wille was, but it's not clear if he did because it was quite dark. By the way, the look on Wille's face after the kiss, these kids are so cute. This show will never let us down. August is a bit hurt and he's feeling rejected. He thinks that Sarah is just there for the sex, which is disappointing to him because he thought that she liked him for real. Sarah explains that she was scared of Felice finding out and being mad, but he still walks away. Anyway, Simon goes in and sings, and both he and Wille can hardly contain their smiles. In episode 5, the boys are kind of basking in their nervous happiness of that kiss. Simon can't stop smelling Wille's jersey, and Wille can't stop smiling in the shower. Simon has some decisions to make. It also looks like Wille is packing a snack for Simon the way that he did last season. It's such a thoughtful little gesture, and it's always been really endearing about Wille's character. Simon tells Sarah that he kissed Wille at the ball. He feels like an idiot and a bad person, but he wanted to. Sarah tells him, well, he's just not in love with Marcus. He already knows this, but he wanted his sister to tell him to forget Wille. I mean, have you met her, Simon? Anyway, he knows that he can't outrun his feelings forever. Wille is supposed to be giving a speech at the school jubilee, but August is too eagerly waiting in the wings. The palace handlers also have to kind of very subtly put him in his place, or they're more like politely dismissive, really. Obviously, everyone's first option is to have Wille be the crown prince. The palace handler Olaf also wants the choir to change the song that they've been practicing for weeks. Even though the headmistress had approved it, the royals want something more traditional. In class, Wille gives Simon the sandwich that he took for him, saying that he guessed that Simon might have not had time for breakfast. Simon is in a sour mood though because of the choir thing and he ignores Wille. Later, Wille finds him in the music room and tells him that he'd hoped they could start over since they kissed at the ball. Simon says that the palace has made them change his Jubilee song and he says that they don't want him associated with Wille. Simon tells Wille then that that song is about him and he asks how long he's going to be punished for that video. He knows that Wille has had a rough time, but it's like Wille is just prancing around and he hasn't faced any consequences for it. And he says then that that kiss yesterday at the ball was a mistake. Wille tells Simon that it was actually August who posted the video, but if Simon went to the police, August would have the best lawyers on his side and Simon wouldn't stand a chance, and that he's just trying to protect Simon. Simon doesn't believe it and he says that Wille is the royal family. He can try to pretend otherwise, but he's just like his mother and he wants to protect himself. He walks away then. Simon is right, obviously, but short of disowning his family and giving up his birthright, which I don't think Wille should do, there isn't much that Wille can do. Wille asks about the choir song and Olaf says that the traditional song is a better fit because this way everyone will be able to sing along. Simon confides in his friends and they urge him to report August because what he did was a crime and at the very least everybody should know about it. Simon is having second thoughts though. He says that Wille had a point, that those kinds of guys never really pay for their indiscretions and crimes. He knows how that world works. Wille calls his mom and says that he won't make the speech if Simon and the choir can't sing their song. And then his mom tells him that the royal strategists are worried that Wille might not be able to handle the pressure of being a working royal, the crown prince. And since there is no natural heir, August will be next in line. By the way, there's been the side storyline of Felice needing to sell her horse, but Sarah had become so close with it, and they'd been working to find a good home for the horse. Turns out they're going to be selling the horse to not so great owners, so Sarah gets really upset and she runs off. Wille is still in therapy, and it's clear at this point that he's comfortable and open with his therapist. He's actually a bit mad at himself because he doesn't understand why he can't do it. How hard can it be to just give speeches and cut ribbons? Wille is saying all of this himself, by the way. Eric made it look so easy, and he knows that he has immense privilege and this is all an honor, but he can't work out why he's struggling with it so much. He just wants to be grateful, and he thinks that he needs to do this because everyone is counting on him. Sarah goes over to August, upset about the horse being sold, and he consoles her. Wille goes over to Simon's place and his friends are there, and he says that he's sorry for not saying anything about August, but that August is his backup, that if Wille can't be the crown prince, August would take over and Wille would be free of it all, free to be with Simon. If Simon reports him though, he'll be stuck. At first Simon is skeptical, but Wille says that Simon should do what he feels is right. He just wanted him to know how things are and how he feels. When he walks away, one of his friends asks if Wille just said he'd give up the crown for Simon. We see August on the phone then discussing some money issues with his mom. Looks like he's going to buy the horse for Sarah. At this point, they're very close. And yeah, it's kind of funny, so unrelatable, but kind of cute that obviously the royal adjacent guy is going to buy his horse girl girlfriend a thoroughbred. Sarah doesn't know any of this still, by the way. Simon and Wille are in a book report group together, and eventually they're talking about the moral dilemmas that the characters are in. In talking about it, it's clear that both Simon and Wille relate to these characters who are struggling to reconcile their love for each other and their religion and their other obligations, and we see that they completely understand what the other is going through because there are certain parallels with their own situation. Simon tells his mom then that August posted the video and he'll be going to the police about it. Sarah overhears this, or she's at the table as her mom and her brother are talking about it. Anyway, she goes and tells August, and she says that he should get ahead of it by confessing it first. This is all very innocent on Sarah's part. She just really feels bad for August because he looks like he's kind of torn up about it, and she wants to help him. Simon tells Wille that he needs to press charges. He can't let August get away with it. I've always liked this about Simon. He's fairly smart when it comes to the royal family and how they roll. They would hang him out to dry the second they could, so he needs to look out for himself. So his instincts on this are pretty good, even though it's pretty complicated. Simon goes to Wille's room and tells him that he's not going to the police to hurt him, and Wille says that he knows that, and he asks what will happen to them. Simon says that he doesn't know. Wille reaches out to him, and then they hug and start making out. Just as things get heated, thank goodness, Wille closes the curtain before they carry on. In episode 6, the final episode of season 2, August calls Olaf wanting to talk to him about his problem with the tape and probably about the fact that Simon will be reporting this. Olaf doesn't have time for this and he's a bit dismissive again, hoping out loud that August doesn't have any unsolvable emergencies. August says never mind, it's not a big deal. Simon goes to break up with Marcus. Marcus is obviously hurt and guesses that it's about Wille. He has some choice words for Simon, saying that he's always the victim. He's pretty gentle, all things considered, though. He's just a good guy who's hurt, but ultimately it's fine. He'll be fine. We did hear, though, that his mom was really happy for him to be coupled up with Simon, so yeah, it sucks for him. August calls Wille over and tells him about his plan. He can't stop Simon from going to the police, but they're going to give Alexander up as the person who recorded the video. Sure, it was recorded on August's phone, but there's no actual proof that he was the one who recorded it or posted it. August has spoken to his lawyers, and Alexander is a minor, so they'll go easy on him. There's little likelihood he'll have to go to prison, and of course, he'll have the royal family's eternal gratitude. Wille tries to reason with Alexander, but he says that he knows that Wille was the one who pinned the drug thing on him, and he's been pretending to be friends all this time. August also has proof that Simon did sell them some of his father's meds last season, so if Simon goes to the police, he'll get in trouble for that as well. Sarah and Felice watch as the horse gets taken away by the newcomers. Sarah tells Felice then that she's in love with August. She's just been scared to tell her because he's Felice's ex. Felice tells Sarah that he's kind of the worst and he can't be trusted. Wille intercepts Simon as he's about to go to the police and tells him about August and Alexander's plan, and that Simon's dad's name is still on the pill bottle, so that will come out if Simon goes to the police. They all meet on the shooting range, and Wille has a gun to August's head and tries to get him to confess who told him that Simon was going to the police. Sarah eventually says that it was her. She's known all along and she wanted August to have a chance to do the right thing. She apologizes to Simon. Her friendship with Felice suffers as a result though, and Felice ends up not wanting to room with Sarah anymore. The group leaves and August tries to apologize to Sarah, who sees now that August was just out to protect himself. She walks away from him as well. On the day of the Jubilee, Sarah has her things, she's moving out of the house, and August tells her that he sold one of his dad's paintings and he gave the new horse's owners an offer that they couldn't refuse. So yes, he bought her a horse, and she's like, you just don't get it, do you? Simon and Wille have a private moment, and Simon tells Wille that he hates August, but it's not worth ruining their families and what they have, so he won't go to the police. He tells Wille then that he wants to be with them. If they have to keep it a secret, then so be it. Just no secrets between them. Then he tells Wille that he loves them. Aww. And then, oh no, Sarah, in an attempt to make things right, makes a call to the police and says that she wants to report a crime. Anyway, finally it's time for Wille's big speech. At the last moment it looks as though August might have to step in, but Wille manages to make the speech after all, and he does really well, until he goes off script, calling out the lies and secrets, their old traditions, and how not evolving is proving problematic. He says that he's scared too, but that ends now. Then he says that the video that went around last semester was of him and Simon, and it was a moment that he didn't want to share with anybody else, so he lied. This is such a great moment for him to finally be unburdened by that secret, especially since it's his decision and he seems to feel ready. Also, with his honesty and bravery, even though he was scared, he really embodied who the royal family think they are, who they sometimes pretend to be, but often a lot of it is just optics and self-preservation motivated fear, I guess. Anyway, Wille smells at Simon and he smells back, and that's the end of the episode and the end of the season. Thank you for watching.